you should buy a Kindle Scribe tomorrow. Now, let's be fair, that's a pretty hard sell. If you're familiar with the Kindle Scribe, you know what I'm talking about. Aside from a few review videos, no one's really talked about this piece of tech, and probably for good reason. The Kindle Scribe was Amazon's stab at being part of the handwritten digital note sphere, and it got mixed results. Now, on the one hand, the Scribe was expensive, oversized for reading, and generally not what Kindles are usually about. So it seemed like a kind of unfamiliar piece of technology. But on the other hand, what you can now buy is pretty good, pretty cheap, and it's a pretty great solution to the desire to write by hand and still have a digital copy if that's what you're after. Now, full transparency, if you are somebody who owns an iPad and likes taking notes on your iPad, the Kindle Scribe is probably not for you. But that's only because you already have a device to do that, and it would be kind of wasteful to go buy a new one. I'm not saying that this is the best piece of revolutionary technology and everybody should own it. But if you're interested in digital note-taking, maybe you want that for college next year, maybe you just want to do that in general, the Kindle Scribe is a pretty good solution, and it's a lot cheaper than an iPad. Plus, you skip out on that glass screen, and you get a kind of nicer writing experience. We'll get into that later. Simply put, this is more of a review to just bring attention to the Scribe, not necessarily to sell it to everybody under the sun. So let's talk about the Scribe. The Kindle Scribe is the largest Kindle by far. Aside from letting you read your books on a screen twice as large as your average Kindle, the Scribe lets you access these notebooks where you can obviously write things down. The experience with the Scribe pen is excellent. It doesn't take a charge or a battery. You just pop it off of the side of the Scribe and start writing. Now, the premium pen puts an eraser on the back. I'm not really sure how this works technologically, but you can just spin the pen around and start erasing things with the back like you would with a normal pencil. It might seem like a gimmick, but I promise you, all of the people that say that the premium pen is worth it are right. It's just super smooth to be able to do this, and there's not really a better way to do it. Sure, you could go out and buy, a third-party pen. There's some pretty good ones, but those are all about $30 anyway, and that's how much it costs to go from the default pen to the premium pen. So in the long run, I think it's just worth it to invest in the premium pen. Don't invest in the overpriced Amazon case, but definitely invest in the premium pen. It will make a difference. It will make your writing experience a lot better. And as far as I know, you really can't do this sort of thing on something like the iPad. Now, the Scribe's weakness really comes in with the utility, and this is where most people seem to have an issue with it. The software is really not the most advanced. There's some templates for lines and graphs that you can put on your pages, and you can certainly annotate some PDFs, but you cannot upload custom templates like custom lines or graphs, and you can't detach Scribe notes from the notebook you choose to write them in. You can export them, but you cannot take a note from one notebook and plop it into another one. Plus, there's no search feature, so if you're one of those people that wants their handwriting to be recognized and then you can search for it, the Kindle Scribe isn't going to do that. In all frankness, that doesn't happen with a paper notebook, and that's really what I'm comparing this to, so I'm fine with not having a search feature, but I know some people, probably a lot of people, are really miffed by that. Still, I don't really care. For me, the Scribe's biggest weakness is a lack of book annotation. It's pretty easy to doodle on a PDF, but if you want to write notes on a book, you're out of luck. The way highlights work on your typical Kindle is that you highlight some text, and then you can kind of type up a little note on it. Now, most Kindles have a really slow refresh rate, so this isn't really worth it, but on the Scribe, the refresh rate is good. It's pretty solid, but the problem is that instead of being able to just circle some text on a book with a pen, you have to highlight your text, and you get the option to make a handwritten note, and that's where you can put in your doodles or annotations. Basically, all that this lets you do is take notes on the text by hand, but you cannot write on the text. You can simply open notes on the text and then write those by hand. It's a very clunky feature. I don't really use it. Like it's cool. It's great. You can make drawings if you want to try to draw out, maybe what someone is saying in like a math book or something. But really, in the long run, this is not book annotation. It's not that good. It's not that helpful. You cannot circle or underline text. And that's really frustrating. I feel like the Scribe should have this. Maybe it'll have it in the coming years. Amazon has been pretty good at pushing updates to this thing. But for now, the Scribe does not have any features like that. And it's pretty painful. Most of the competitors do. Now, there is the consideration, though, that the Scribe isn't just the Scribe, it's a Kindle Scribe. Reading on this thing is the same sleek Kindle experience that you'd get anywhere else, but it's on the size of an iPad, which is pretty helpful because that lets you view any images, any graphs, or just the pages of the book in a lot larger print. You can even turn the Kindle Scribe on its side, and then that way you can line up 2 pages on one view. So basically you have kind of like a spread like you would if you opened a book. That's pretty nice. I really like that. Now, the downside here is that you cannot really take the Scribe a lot of places. You need a case. Mine's coming soon. It's not the fancy Amazon one, but you need a case if you want to carry it a lot of places. You can't fit it in your pocket. You certainly really can't read in bed with this thing in the same way that the small Kindle works. So it's not the same as an actual Kindle. It's a larger Kindle reading experience. It's really nice, but these two products are not the same, and you can't really interchange them in the same way. But you still do get a pretty nice book experience with the Kindle Scribe. It's a nice reading experience. It's just not as mobile and versatile as your smaller pocket Kindle. So what does that leave us with? Well, at the time of writing this, we might even be on Prime Day, and Amazon has put a massive sale on the Kindle Scribe. They actually had a pre-Prime Day sale, which is where I just bought mine. I used to have one a while back. I returned it because I needed the money. Now I'm at a point where I think it's pretty cool and I want to check it out again, so I ordered it again. You can get yours at the time of this video recording for $100 off, and this stacks with the bonus for turning in any old Amazon device. So I'm going to send in my old Echo Dot. It's pretty nice. I'm going to miss the thing, but this gives me like $50 back on the Kindle Scribe, and that's a lot more valuable to me. There's also the bundle deal that comes with the fancy Amazon case. This thing right now is really expensive, but it was down to, I think, $230 sometime in June. So if you want to wait it out, if you really want that fancy Amazon case, which from what I've heard isn't even that good, but if you want it, you could always wait it out and wait for that to get to a lower price. So if and when the Scribe goes on a bigger sale, or if you feel like getting it now, I strongly suggest you get one. Again, if you own an iPad, yeah, this thing is probably not for you. You can take notes on your iPad. You can do a lot more. I guess you can, run iPad apps, which is a thing that the Kindle Scribe clearly does not do. But the Scribe is a much better writing experience. I did a little trade at one point with one of my friends who had an iPad, and he had one of the fancy screen protectors that makes it feel like paper. And we both agreed that the Scribe just has a different feel than the iPad does. The iPad is digital. It's designed for people in the digital world, and the Scribe seems kind of detached from that. Maybe that's a little more philosophical than you're interested in, but still, the point still stands. The Scribe is not a digital tool as much as the iPad is. It feels a lot more real, it feels a lot more like paper, and it's a much nicer writing experience than anything you'll get with the iPad. So yeah, if you have an iPad, it's probably not worth putting another $200 into a different writing tool. But if you don't have an iPad, if you're considering getting one or looking for a way to write digital notes by hand, I would strongly suggest you at least try the Scribe. At least buy it and then return it if you don't like it, or if it's not for you, if you don't feel like it's worth the value. That's, in my eyes, completely legitimate. But I think it's worth a shot. It's a really nice piece of technology. It's very overlooked. And at the end of the day, it puts you in a different world than any other piece of technology will. It's not glass, it's not LCD. It's very comfortable and very nice to use. So yeah, if you're looking for notes, if you want to write notes by hand, the Kindle Scribe might just be the overlooked tool for you.